Foundation for Middle East Peace, and I'm very proud to join with the Middle East Institute, the American Task Force for Palestine, and to introduce an old friend, I think, who is known to many of you, Ziad Abu Zayyad. Kate Seeley also welcomes you in absentia. I think Kate was called away on some urgent errand. You all may recall, and Dr. Ziad Asli is here, the president of the American Task Force for Palestine. So welcome, Ziad. Thanks for your co-sponsorship. Many years ago, when I first visited Palestine, I discovered, this was in the early 80s, I discovered that there was, even way back then, a substantial group of Palestinians and Israelis who were, whose thinking was well advanced from the common opinion of the era, who realized that the future for Israelis and Palestinians lay in peace and in the division of the land. They were a kind of lonely voice, but they talked to each other. And that contact between peace-minded Israelis and Palestinians was impressive then, but little known. But it grew. It reached its peak, I think, during the Oslo peace process. In part, it was a product of that early, quiet dialogue between Israelis and Palestinians. It, alas, has waned in recent years after the Second Intifada, and especially after the construction of the separation barrier between the West Bank and Israel, which makes human contact much more difficult. Still, it continues, often in other countries, but therein lies, I think, one of the hopes for ultimate reconciliation and peace. One of the pioneers of this peace movement was Ziad Abu Zayyad. He was one of the first Palestinians I met in Naum's restaurant in Ramallah a long time ago. And he has devoted much of his life to peacemaking. He's traveled around the world, spoken hundreds of thousands of times, has close contacts in the Israeli liberal community, and he is a prominent part of the Palestinian political scene, having served in the Palestinian National Assembly. Are you still a member?
No.
No.
I was defeated by Hamas.
He was a minister of state in the last decade, and he's also a lawyer. He's a prominent lawyer, educated at the University of Damascus, and he's a journalist. He made his mark early as a leader in the peace movement as the editor of a magazine which he called Gesher. Gesher means bridge in Hebrew. This was a Palestinian journal published in Hebrew, and Ziad edited it, wrote it as a monthly or weekly. Gesher is no longer being published, but Ziad and his partner Hillel Schenker publish a very good journal called the Palestine-Israel Journal, which is a quarterly. It's unique. It's the best of its kind. I urge all of you to subscribe to it. It's full of expert, thoughtful commentary from Israelis and Palestinians and some others about the problem. It's a great time for you to be here, Ziad, because people in this country are very interested in the Unity Initiative, which Hamas and Fatah, Mashal, and Mahmoud Abbas have announced, and which they signed yesterday in Cairo. They are also very interested in the drama of what is going to happen between now and September, when the Palestinian leaders said is the deadline for the creation of a Palestinian state, and there is a movement afoot for an initiative in the United Nations to declare Palestine a sovereign and independent state. Anxious to hear your views. Ziad will speak for maybe 20 minutes or half an hour, and then we'll have plenty of time for discussions and questions. Welcome, Ziad Abu Zayyad.
Thank you very much. I'm really very happy to be here and to see some of my old friends, including Molly and Phil and others, and Ziad. And it's an honor for me to be speaking to such a distinguished group. I feel that it could be a very difficult job, because this kind of audience makes me feel that I may not be able to bring anything new to them. And I hope that no one will regret that he have wasted his time because he did not find anything new on what I'm going to say here. I prepared some notes, and I'll just throw them on the table, and I will be very happy to learn from you and from your comments and questions after my short presentation. There are many questions. Why the conciliation is taking place now? What happened new? And if you follow on the Palestinian media and the Palestinian statements, you hear such a questionings in different circles. This ongoing division between Hamas and the Fatah took 4 years, and the dialogue took about 2 years. And as you know, there were rounds of talks in Khartoum, in Amman, in Ankara, in Beirut, in Ramallah, in Cairo, and they were fruitless rounds of talks until Egypt adopted the dialogue and formulated what is known as the Egyptian paper, which was drafted in February 2009. And the Fatah signed that paper on the 15th of October 2009, and since then, nothing new happened. So now, after a year and a half, Hamas accepted to sign the paper. They gave up all their demands for any change in the paper and signed it as it is. And this is why many people ask the question, what is new? I read yesterday someone called Ibrahim Hamami, and he was questioning what happened in the secret channels and talks between Hamas and Fatah. What new was brought by Fatah to Hamas to make Hamas accept to sign the paper without any changes.